Hello students, today we will learn the second poem from our textbook titled Fire and Ice, written by Robert Frost. The first lesson we learned about was Dust of Snow, the poetry. That was also written by Robert Frost. We learned that he was a nature poet. Now, fire and ice. Both these words are contrasting words, otherwise opposite words. Now, fire stands for passions and desires, otherwise human passions, extreme passions, not simply the desires, extreme desires. And I stands for hatred, that is human hatred. Now, I'll read the poem, then I'll give you the literal meaning of the poem first. Some say the world will end in fire. Some say in ice. From what I have tasted of desire, I hold with those who favor fire. But if it had to perish twice, I think I know enough of hate to say that for destruction, ice is also great and would suffice. Now, the poet says here that some people say that the world will end in fire, and some people think that the world will end in ice. Here the poet supports those who believe that fire will lead to the destruction or the end of this existing world as per his experience. The second stanza says, but if the existing world has to be destroyed twice, otherwise a second time, the poet feels that it would be of ice. The poet says ice itself is sufficient enough to cause the destruction of this world. This is the exact meaning of the words of this poem. Now, let us see what the poet wants to tell us through this poem, otherwise the metaphorical meaning of this poem. The poet feels this world of ours will come to an end. But he is not clear when the end will come, when the end of the world will come. He comes to this conclusion on the basis of what people say on this subject. On the basis of what people think, the poet believes that the world will come to an end by the two highly contrasting but powerful elements of nature, that is, the fire and ice. One set of people believe that the world would be burned by the desires of man. Desires of man shows fire. The uncontrolled and unending desires have made men greedy, and this has led to jealousy and would bring this world to an end. However, if the world or the earth were to end a second time, he feels that the earth would be perished due to ice. The ice represents hatred. Man's hatred is very destructive and a silent killer. So, ice or hatred will freeze the hearts and emotions of people and has the strength to destroy the world. Here the explanation ends. Thank you. Now, see the questions or the explanations given below. Thinking about the poem. There are many ideas about how the world will end. Do you think the world will end someday? Have you ever thought that what would happen if the sun got so hot and it burst or grow colder and colder? The answer, there are many ideas how the world will end. One thing is certain, everything that exists today will end sooner or later. The poet also believes that the world will end someday. Both the extremes can bring the destruction of the world. If the sun gets so hot, it will burst and the world will come to an end. If the sun grows colder and colder and freezes, that will also mean the end of the world. Next, for Frost, what do fire and ice stand for? Here are some ideas. Some words are given. I'll read it out. Greed, avarice, cruelty, lust, conflict, fury, intolerance, rigidity, insensitivity, coldness, indifference, hatred. The answer to this is, for Frost, fire stands for passion and uncontrolled desires, and ice stands for hatred. Both are destructive forces that can make the world perish. Now, under the word fire, greed, conflict, fury, lust, avarice, intolerance, and cruelty. Then ice, insensitivity, coldness, indifference, hatred, cruelty, and rigidity. Now the last question is, what is the rhyme scheme of the poem? How does it help in bringing out the contrasting ideas in the poem? The rhyme scheme is a special part of this poem that will be explained when the school opens. Otherwise, if I explain now, you may not be able to follow me or understand the same. Okay? Thank you.